There everybody. So today I'm going to explain 2D arrays in Java, also known as multidimensional arrays. A two-dimensional array is an array where each element is an array. It's useful for storing a matrix of data. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have some basic one-dimensional arrays. I will create a string array of fruits. Think of some fruit. I'll add an apple, an orange, and a banana. Then I'll create another separate array. Let's create a string array of vegetables. Think of some vegetables. I will add a potato, an onion, and a carrot. Let's create one more. I will create a string array of meats. I will add chicken, pork, beef. Let's add one more, and fish. These three arrays are all separate one-dimensional arrays. Well, what if I told you we can make an array made of arrays, where each element is an array? Here's how. We're going to combine all these arrays together into a grid or matrix. I will create a two-dimensional array of strings. We will need two sets of straight brackets. I will name this two-dimensional array groceries. And then we need our curly braces. This two-dimensional array, each element within this two-dimensional array, is going to be an array. We have fruits, vegetables, and meats. Let's attempt to display these elements. You can use a for loop or an enhanced for loop. Within this for loop, what is the data type of each element? Well, each element is a string array. So we need to list the data type as a string array. Let's give a nickname of each element as foods in our two-dimensional array of groceries. Let me show you what happens if I print each element within our two-dimensional array of groceries. I will print each array of foods. Here's what we got. Well, we get a bunch of memory addresses, because arrays are a reference data type. We're referring to some place in memory. We'll need to use a nested loop. An enhanced for loop would be good for this. With each of these arrays, what is the data type of each element within each? Well, we're working with strings, so the data type is going to be string. Let's give a nickname of each element as food in our array of foods. During each cycle of this loop, let's print, not print line, each food, and then I'll add a space. Here's what we got currently. We have our first array, and our second, then third. After finishing each array, I'm going to add a new line character. We can use a print line statement for that. Here's what we got now. What we have is a grid or matrix of data. You could say that there's columns and rows. Each row is a separate array. Now, when initializing an array, you don't necessarily need names. Let's remove fruits, copy the elements of this array, including the curly braces, and paste them within this two-dimensional array. Just for readability, I'm going to place each row on a new line. Let's replace vegetables with the elements, including the curly braces. Same thing applies with meats. And we can delete all this. This would work the same. Groceries is a matrix of data, a grid. Let's print this. And that works the same. If you ever need to access or change an element, you'll need to use two indices. For example, let's replace apple with a pineapple. We will take our two-dimensional array of groceries and list two indices. The first index applies to the row. The second index applies to the column. So we're saying at row 0, column 0, we can change it or access it. Let's say that row 0, column 0 is now a pineapple rather than an apple. Then we have pineapple, orange, banana. Let's replace our potato with something else. That would be row 1, column 0. Row 1, column 0 is now celery. Celery, onion, carrot. Let's replace the carrot with celery then. That would be row 1, column 2. 0, 1, 2. Row 1, column 2. Potato, onion, celery. Let's replace pork with eggs. That would be row 2, 0, 1, 2, column 1, 0, 1. Row 2, column 1 is now eggs. We have chicken, eggs, beef, fish. To access or modify an element within a 2D array, you need to list two indices. The first for the row, the second for the column. Okay, now we're going to create a mini project. We'll create a two-dimensional array that resembles a telephone number pad. This two-dimensional array will be made up of characters. The data type is char, and then we have two sets of straight brackets. Let's name this two-dimensional array telephone equals, we have an array of arrays. We'll have 4 rows. And just for readability, I'm going to place each of these on a new line, just so it resembles a grid or matrix. For the first row, we'll have 1, 2, 3. And these are all characters, not strings. We're using single quotes, not double quotes. For the second row, we'll have 4, 5, 6. The third row will be 7, 8, 9. Now for the last row, we'll have an asterisk character, 0, and pound, or hashtag as I like to call it. So here's our matrix, our grid of characters. We have an array of arrays. It has rows and columns. Now let's display our data. We'll need nested loops for this. Our outer for loop is going to be in charge of the rows. What is the data type of each element within this two-dimensional array? Well, each row is an array of characters. That's going to be the data type of the outer for loop. We have an array of characters. Let's give a nickname of each inner array as a row in our two-dimensional array of telephone. For every row in our telephone, do this. Then we'll need a nested loop. What is the data type of each element within each array? They're characters. The data type will be char. Let's say for every number in each array of row, we'll print the following. We'll use print rather than print line. We'll print each number, and I'll add a space character. Let's do a test run. After each row, I'm going to print a new line character. So when we escape the inner for loop, I'll add an empty print line statement. And here's our telephone. We have rows and columns. It's a two-dimensional array of characters. So those are two-dimensional arrays. They're an array where each element is an array. It's useful for storing a matrix of data. We probably won't be using 2D arrays too often, but you should still be familiar with them. And well, everybody, those are two-dimensional arrays in Java.